Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Tales of Adventure. This week, we're very excited to welcome a new friend to the library, SirGooeyLawrence from the awesome Gooey Cube. Welcome, my friend, and tell us a little bit about who you are and the marvelous character you've brought to share with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on Tales of Adventure. I'm Sir Gooey Lawrence, also just regularly Lawrence. I work for Gooey Cube as the production manager there, so I assist with everything from the actual development of the different products and things that we go on to a lot of the actual just different assembly and shipping and logistics and things that take care of, as well as I lift heavy things pretty frequently. Character today, however, I'm going to be playing a level 12 variant human sorcerer named Leodraas Sylen, who is a wild magic sorcerer. Should I get into his background, or what all are you looking for?
Whatever you would like to share with us.
So Leodraas is a recently retired battle mage. He served for a number of years until he was wounded and he was no longer fit for military service. And so during that time, immediately after, he served as an instructor for a long time. But unfortunately, he just got worn down, and now he's kind of a little bit of a drifter. He's kind of going from like place to place, looking for odd jobs, and just has lost a lot of that kind of like sense of purpose that he once had, and is just trying to kind of now figure out where he fits in the world.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, as part of his wanderings, he's going to get to explore kind of an interesting area tonight and possibly even get to lift a curse. So, with that, let's see what happens tonight. So, setting the scene for us, we may know this area from the past, but the Dragonspire Mountains are a range of sharp rocky peaks that extend along the eastern coast from the frozen wastes in the north to the southern deserts, creating cliffs and bluffs that butt directly against the ocean shores. Eastern settlements are few and filled with hardy commoners fit for wilderness survival. Here lies Dragonsmuir, a shiplap construct half built into the mountainside, whose steep, winding roads terminate at floating markets that serve as both town square and a trading post. A rare safe harbor from seasonal storms, this makeshift port provides a gathering place for transient traders, sailors, and fishers until the seas are calm once more. Dragonsmuir may be grim, but during these rare gatherings, it is filled with light, color, and most importantly, storytelling. Tell us what brings you here to such an isolated village.
I think Leodrass in the last city that he was in was trying to look around for different jobs and whatnot, and he actually got an offer in a tavern from one of the ship's captains. Having a little bit of experience in mending, he basically was brought on as a ship hand to go on over and use his magic to assist with just the ship with just general maintenance and whatnot, and a little bit of like the woodworking and whatnot. And Leodra said, "Hey, as long as you pay me, as long as you get me to another city where I can find jobs, I'll go ahead and get on voyage." And so I think that's why he ended up inside of this new city.
Awesome. So there's definitely lots of opportunities for work here with so many ships docked in this small port. And as you start to wander the smaller village, you see that this ramshackle town is tucked into a modest cove that cuts into the mountainside. At its eastern edge, extending out into the water, is a series of interconnected docks, rafts, and pontoons, which make up the floating market. Here, smaller seafaring vessels of local traders, fishers, and porters gather to take shelter from storms. While waiting out the seasonal weather, the ship's passengers entertain themselves with storytelling, feats of magic, performances, and a massive bazaar that sprawls across the floating wooden structure. And as you wander this area, you start to hear a few pieces of lore and rumors, including a claim that a rare Itzoli skiff seems to be at dock here and includes a fate weaver on board.
What's has been my experience in dealing with either tales or just directly with like fate weavers in the past?
As a war mage, you would view them as being suspicious and a product of chaos magic. But
Mhm,
perhaps you would be also fascinated with them as well, since they're outcasts from society. The Itzoli are wandering traders.
mhm,
They don't belong to any one nationality, but that means they also owe loyalty to all nations and cultures. They
mhm.
can be useful to you. In fact, you've used them as spies in the past, but you've never had the occasion to meet a fate weaver before.
Okay. With that in mind, I think I'm going to go through and I'm going to raise my nose up to the air and give it the old wherever the best smelling food, whichever direction that is coming from. I think I'm headed in that direction.
Absolutely. And it brings you to a small stall draped in red fabrics that is baking a rather small little bundle of something filled with spices and good meats. It's familiar to you and comes from the southern desert, but it's certainly not native to this region.
That definitely I'll walk on up and say, Excuse me, would you happen to have any ready and for sale?"
In a rather thick accent, a younger gentleman will answer to you, yes, and will say that each one costs 5 coppers and will hold out his hand.
I'll go through it. I'll probably put 20 coppers in. I want to get loaded up. I'm a little hungry after come off sea. Um, as I do, I just kind of curious and say, what's are they is only gonna be here all season, or is this something where it's do they normally put up here, or are they just passing through?
The young lad doesn't know you, and so he's going to answer you in a rather vague way.
Mhm.
It's suggesting that they come here and there, and wherever they land, they may stay or go, and makes some vague references to the seagulls and other seabirds, and doesn't really suggest that they're going to be here for the season, but also indicates what it's it to you and why do you want to know?
I We had some interesting experiences dealing with them a long time ago. I was in the army, and we ended up coming across a tribe. It was right after we had gotten done with almost like a 100 league march. It just was absolutely exhausting, and they had brought their caravan on over, and just had the best food that I had ever had. Now, given I was starving at this point, so that's a little bit to throw in there as far as quality of food goes. But I don't know. There was something about the way that they talked and the way that they interacted with just it felt like the world around them that always left an interesting impression on me. And it just was wonder if it was something if I wanted to see them and learn more about it if I needed to hurry and make it happen or if they're going to be around for a while.
The lad will smile at you and then say, ah, but you'll find no better fresh food than here at this table. Why go
Oh,
wandering off for something more when you can take these pasties with you?
I don't. Well, go ahead. Why don't you wrap up half of the order that I had, and then I'll take the others ready to go. I'm starving.
He will certainly do that with for you, and wrapping them in wax paper, he hands them over.
Mhm.
And you may notice that there's something different about this particular wax paper, as if he's snuck something there between the wrappings for you to find later.
And so, well, appreciate it, and have yourself a great day, sir. And I'll go over and I'll walk away. Once I like turn the corner and get out of eyesight, I'll go through and try and take a look at what feels weird in that wax paper.
Mhm. And as you look through it, you notice he slipped you a small note. It's a riddle, hoping that you'll be able to solve it and discover where the Azoli ship is docked for the season.
Okay.
It's directions. And if you roll an intelligence check, you'll be able to figure out the riddle.
All right, here we go. Intelligence check. First roll of the night. We're gonna go with a real solid 4. So that was 3 plus my 1 intelligence modifier. So
Okay. It's a real puzzler to you, but
mhm,
you've noticed that the handwriting has a very particular cadence to it. Although the young lad looks like he was from the southern deserts, the way that he is written is native to here in the Republic. And
mhm.
so there's a very good chance if you did just encounter a member of the Adzoli Ran, that the skiff that you're looking for isn't going to have the red sails of the South, but the standard blue sails of the Republic of Eìrden.
Okay. So I'm looking for blue sails. Trying to think here, what might help me with trying to determine where these folks. You know what? I think I remember when we first arrived, you're talking about how there's different like entertainment at the bazaar and stuff like that. I think I want to move in whichever direction I feel like the largest cluster of that is. I want to go over and I want to approach it. I want to try and grab a seat that's kind of on the edge, and I basically want to people watch while I go through and I enjoy my food, and really try and see if there's any specific performances or anything like that that maybe sticks out in my mind that says, okay, maybe those are some of the folks from the Azoli tribe.
Okay. As you go to the main platform of this marketplace, you see many fine performers. Some seem to be locals, perhaps jugglers or dance routines, but you also notice those that are clearly travelers.
Mhm,
They're refined, but also exotic in nature in the sense that they don't seem to be local to the Republic of Eìrden. And among them are a certain type of spellcaster who weaves magic into their performances. It's
mhm,
particularly tricky magic, as you well know, because of the way chaos works here amongst the lands. But they seem very skilled at it, almost as if chaos bends to them. And as you watch, you realize these are chaos casters, not particularly common amongst the common folk, but they are in abundance amongst the Idzoli. And if you watch longer, you realize amongst the storytellers are those that when they weave with their hands, it's as
mhm,
if trails of gold come from their fingertips. And that's not a type of magic you've ever seen before.
mhm. Okay. So, about what time of day are we dealing with right now?
Twilight.
Twilight. So would that be getting on like afternoon time frame? Sun's starting to go down.
Yes.
Okay. Um, do I see like city or village officials going over and like lighting, like any kind of like street lamps or anything like that that would indicate like people are going to be set up into the evening time kind of thing, or does it look like people are starting to like wind things down?
They are definitely not winding things down, but this
Hmm.
type of village isn't one that would warrant an official or any kind of magistrate. But you
Hmm.
do see lots of lanterns.
Hmm.
Looking around, you see that folks are lighting homemade or paper type lanterns, either out of. No, you don't, Riley. Shut up. I know these people. You weren't here when I made this shit up. Like right this second.
Nice.
Doesn't know things. um, sorry.
I was confused. I thought he was behind me at first, so I was like, "Wait, what?"
He could be. He could be popping up right now. What do I know? Sorry. So they have these sort of decorative lanterns that they're lighting to use for the festivities. Whether or not this is common for the area, you can't be certain unless you've been here before. But this seems to be the way of the area, and you don't see an established lighting system like you would be more comfortable with on the western side of the mountain range.
Mhm. Hmm. Trying to think, or how do I want to go through? How do I want to approach this? I think I will go ahead and I'm going to walk in the direction of the spellcasters that looked like they had the gold coming out of their fingertips, the kind of that I wasn't familiar with. I think I'm going to go ahead and approach it. I'm going to join the audience. I want to try and watch it a little bit closer, really looking for any kind of somatic components, any somatic or verbal components of it to kind of try and piece together they're casting or what their process is for casting.
Okay. Um, Go ahead and make an Arcana check, please.
All right, here we go. Second roll of the night, 23.
Yes.
20, 22, excuse me.
Both are good. Okay. So you have to look very closely to figure out what exactly is happening here. Um, you can tell that the performer is using a verbal component, for they are clearly
Hmm.
speaking to the audience.
Hmm.
What else might be happening is more challenging to detect.
Hmm.
However, you clearly sense illusion magics. For as you observe the storyteller, it's almost as if you're falling under their spell. For in your mind's eye, you can see moving pictures and illustrations of the story that they are communicating to the audience. But if there are any components to their spell, you can't be certain. But perhaps there are somatic elements. It's just difficult to be certain from your exact position of observation.
I think after going through and observing a lot more of the crowd and then just some of the aspects, I want to go back and I want to look back at that riddle. Um, I'm thinking blue sails. I'm trying to think directions. I'm trying to think of any of my old military training that maybe was like for like how to set up like code words or how to go through and deal with some of that, like some of those more just communication techniques and stuff, and try and see if I maybe couldn't figure out like, yeah, not trying to like roll to like succeed, but like, okay, if I were to ask a question to try and help me get like a hint for how to solve this thing, like what kind of like I'm trying to get like that kind of aspect from the riddle of like, okay, what piece am I missing that maybe hopefully that would help give me a clue for where to go through. So I'm gonna ponder on that for probably another 15 or so minutes while I kind of watch this performer kind of going over and really try and think about the words of the
Mhm. If you are looking closely at many of the performers,
riddle.
you may notice that many of them appear to have similar tattoos or decorative
Hmm.
markings. In fact, these markings seem to be commonly embroidered into skirts and shawls
Hmm.
and other performance garb. It's almost as if the troupe has a unified sense of decoration, but
Hmm.
more than that, as if they've sort of created their own unique cultural uniform. Because some of these individuals don't seem to belong to the same troupe.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I think um, in between this performer's man, woman,
Woman.
this woman, in between her next like demonstration, when it feels like maybe she's there's a break or she's hey, she's collecting coins and getting ready for her next thing. I think I want to go ahead and approach the table, um, and I'll go ahead and I'll take out a silver and put it in wherever her collection thing is. And just say that's a most peculiar form of spell casting. Would you mind sharing where you learned it?
She would smile at you and then simply say, "Thank you, kind stranger. I see that your essence swirls with an interesting mix of rainbow hues." Perhaps it would be wise of you to let me read your fate, but she doesn't share her secret spellcasting with you.
What's my That's interesting. I say I'd be honored. Thank you. And then I sit there just very neutral, waiting for her instruction for her ritual.
She would guide you to a quieter table and then hold out her hand and wait for you to place yours on top.
Okay.
And
Okay. Yep. Go ahead.
if she senses that you are ready, you would feel those golden threads start to wrap around your palm and arm. They are gentle, but you feel the trickle of an aura of magic. Do you allow her to proceed?
Mm, no. I think I go through and I hesitantly, once I feel the sensation, it pulls back for a second, as kind of has as Leodris has like a face of shock for a second, like not familiar with it. Um, and he'll go, is this safe?
She would simply smile at you knowingly and say, "Is any magic truly safe? Sometimes knowing the future can be quite dangerous, but the spell itself cannot harm you. It's the knowing that is truly harmful. It's up to you to choose."
Like Leodris takes a deep breath and he'll return his hand, and in his mind, he's going over the steps for casting counterspell, and he's not preparing the spell, but it's one of those things where that's what he's like focusing on, as far as like just being like, okay, just relax, you're gonna be okay, kind of going through as he returns his hand, and then basically just holds his breath the whole time while this happens.
Okay. And you start to feel the sensation once again. And
Mhm.
she's very gentle. She keeps her palm open so that you can pull away at any time. And she starts to weave fate around you, exploring the potential futures that you might encounter on the road. And she goes in chronological order. She sees that perhaps you might leave town tonight, that you might go up into the mountains, that you might perhaps encounter nightmares and dangers and visions, that perhaps there will be a storm that will offer great dangers and threats. But she also sees that instead you might choose to leave in the morning. This is not necessarily a safer route, but she does see also a ring of great power. She sees a shrine of protection. She also sees that perhaps a curse could be lifted. She can't be certain if leaving tonight or tomorrow is the better path, nor can she see if leaving at all would be helpful. But she seems quite certain that this is your destiny. And then the visions fade.
I apologize for the guest. There's a cat that was playing.
Is that Void? I love
That
it.
is no, I think that one's soup.
Ah.
Because void, I think it's all black, so I think that was miso soup.
I didn't quite,
And
I only saw the tail.
yeah, no, for sure. I think he goes through and he exhales. Now, so what you had described is what I was basically seeing inside of my head, or is that what she was interpreting, and then was she speaking that back out to me?
That's what you would see inside of your head. But as you see it, she can see it too, and she's commentating.
I really want to check her body posture during the first one. There was a lot of interesting, like, kind of perils and stuff that were kind of associated with leaving town tonight, and I believe it was leaving town and then moving into the mountains.
Yes.
And I'm curious as to what her body posture was. Was it stiffening up some? Was she just very loose as she was just talking about it, very ambivalent towards it? Basically what I'm kind of trying to look for is does she have some prior knowledge that was maybe tied to either one of those paths that was like, oh, yeah, there's something out in the mountains right now. Like the whole town knows it. All of a sudden, this guy comes over. I'm reading this, like his different things. I'm trying to like kind of trying to get a read on her body posture in that kind of
Okay.
sense. It's kind of like that, like when you ask a question and somebody like you already know the answer to it, and so your body posture kind of changed, like expectingly, like, all right, yeah, tell me your version of it, and I'm going to tell you what I already know.
Never ask a question you don't already know the answer to.
Hmm.
Um, when she was speaking of leaving tonight and heading out into the mountains and those dangers, she was leaning closer, frowning, considering things, almost as if she was starting to connect some dots to some
Hmm.
pieces of lore. Um, Before I answer further, can I get a history check?
Sure. Also, I think I figured it out. I think Riley was saying I knows these people as in me and you,
Ah,
not the people that you were describing in that exact moment.
that would make much more sense.
All right, I rolled an 8, but I think I'm going to do some tides of chaos here.
Okay.
So I think I want to re-roll that. So let me make sure that this does actually, I have the lucky feat, so I'm gonna go ahead and use one of my luck points to go ahead and re-roll that, and let's see what happens. All right, history.
Was
All
it
right, so we're gonna go and
worse?
stick with the previous 8. Sometimes it be like that. I don't know what it was. There was a shift in my like sphere of whatever aura of luck that I had, and that from now on, whenever I play D&D for the last like year and a half, I've just had poor rolls. And I just played into it, but it's a good time.
If he makes you feel better,
Mhm,
um, O'Reilly says you are correct. Um, I I was playing Glenn for a very long time, who's
mhm,
supposed to be the Ranger's Ranger, right?
mhm.
Um, that child can't pass a nature check to save his life. It became like a
Nice.
running joke.
Glenn he's really good at shooting, doesn't know anything about
Can't
nature.
do jack shit other than that. No,
Nice.
useless. Poor child who tries.
All right, so we're sitting at an 8 for my history.
Okay. Um, it's niggling in the back of your mind, but you feel like there's something about the Azzoli and their culture as if they're responsible for something, but you just can't remember. Like it was part of your training in the military, but now you can't really remember because at the
It
time you
probably
didn't
wasn't
think it was
explosions
important.
or fighting, so it's just like, this we can skip over this part of the history lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. That
Yes.
checks. I'm gonna take the ooh. Actually, I'm gonna do something interesting. I'm going to reach into my pack or wherever I've been carrying the extra treats that I purchased earlier. And I'm going to look at her. I'm going to say, I want to thank you for the gift that you have given me and return this gift. And I want to go through and place them down. When I do it, I'm going to very gently try and lift open the spots. That way she can clearly see the riddle that I got from earlier, but offer her the whole thing.
Okay. She will politely take but one, and she will observe your riddle and sort of smile to herself. And choosing not to respond directly to it, she will instead pick up a small river stone. And you see her whisper something to it, and the gold threads light up. And she offers it to you and simply says, perhaps it will change your fate.
Okay. When I go over it, I say, obviously, thank you. And I reach out. When I feel it, can I detect what type of or what class or domain of magic it is?
Yes. Um, You would sense that she manipulated transmutation magic in a unique way that you are not able to do.
Okay. I will take it and I'll give her like a little bow. And I'm gonna get up and leave her table. What
Bef-
does the weather look like?
Stormy.
Is it like raining currently or just overcast and like we doing that like Colorado like dry lightning thing going on?
Not yet.
um okay.
We're doing the Southern California will it won't it rain thing.
Nice. Okay. I'm trying to think of what I want to do. I definitely want to leave and I want to go into the mountains. I'm trying to figure out if there's more information that I could get. You know what? Actually, I'm going to try and find whoever is an official looking someone. So I think you were saying like there wasn't like an official magistrate, but if I can find somebody who maybe looks like a major trader in the town, maybe somebody who seems like they're a very seasoned sailor who, or like a fisherman, like somebody who looks like they've been in the town for like a hot minute, maybe has some kind of maybe somebody who has some kind of like status or something like that. I'm gonna try and scan the crowd, see if I can pick somebody like that out.
Okay.
There's a mom with like 12 kids. That's also the person that I want to talk to. Because she has all the information on the entire town, I promise you.
Moms always have all the deets. Well, in
Mhm,
fishing villages, it's not so much moms that have all the deets, it's the
mhm.
fishermen. So,
Gotcha.
personal experience. Uh, so, um, in this particular town, there is one fisher who has been around for many a generation, and sitting on a barrel off to the side, shooing off some particularly young looking children's, is a very old fisher.
Mhm.
And he does seem a bit grumpy, but you are more than welcome to walk up to him and engage in conversation. He is gnarled and sunburnt and weathered, with a long beard and even longer white hair. But there's something teasing and friendly in his demeanor, despite his rather grumpy behavior in chasing off those younglings.
So two-phase plan. First phase, where is there booze at the stands that are around?
um,
Looking for someone. I'm looking for somebody who's got like a cask. I'm looking for somebody who's got some. I'm looking for like a little beer stand.
How do you know he's not just sitting on it?
He could be, but the problem is I don't have a mug, and I need to get a mug so that way I can fill it with booze and offer it unto him. That is phase. That is phase two of the plan.
Okay. You're welcome to walk up to any old booth, and there will be
Yep.
plenty of ale to your liking.
Yep. Sounds good. I go over. I get two mugs. Go on over and approach him and say, "Oh, excuse me, sir. I was wondering if I could make an offering for your wisdom."
He will look up at the ale in particular and then say, as long as the wisdom be short and the ale be long, you can ask me any wisdom you please.
I'll go over and I hand them the mug. Um, and I go through and I say, "There's a journey which I'm looking to take into the mountains. And I was just curious if there you had heard any happenings that have been going on in there, um, in particular of late."
He will look at you appraisingly and then say, ugh, I, well, since the gatherings alone have started these past weeks, there have been many an outlander that has gone a vanishing up there in the marshlands. And, well, they say that marshland be cursed, and it be expanding of late. And occasionally travelers, well, they don't return to go that way.
Am I familiar with like a major trading route that goes through that area as to why there'd be more people than just like me being the crazy person going up in there?
Typically, folks don't. cross the Dragonspire Mountains.
Hmm.
They're called that for a reason.
Hmm. It's fair.
Yes. Um, they are sharp and craggy and look just like the spines on a dragon's
Hmm.
back. So most folks go around them, um, usually to the south because they would rather cross the desert than
Hmm.
go to the north and cross the Fangs Thrall, which is another set of mountains that go um, east to west and are known as the Trapper's Hole because they tend
Hmm.
to eat trappers. Um, so it's much better to die in the desert than to die in the mountains. This whole
Okay.
world is just set out to kill you. It's fun.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Like it's like real life. Gotcha.
Yes, basically, yes.
Um,
I created a realistic continent.
what reason would any Outlanders have to be to try and brave the pass of the
um,
Dragonspire Peaks?
he would answer you by saying that the local Outlanders here keep an eye up on that their cursed lands because every now and again the marsh be expanding and we don't want them cursed lights coming down this way.
Interesting. I'm sorry, sir. I don't understand what you just said. Can you say it one more time?
um, he says, "Oh boyo, strange things be happening up in the wetlands. Chaos
Hmm.
magic be's more rampant up there, you know. And even those outlanders that return are changed. But lately, they don't be's a returning at all."
Is the last one that returned still around?
He looks sad and says, "The last one, he left town that were a month ago. The most recent one, she didn't be a returning."
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I wish you a good evening, sir.
He'll nod to you and then bury himself in his mug of ale.
Hmm. Okay. I'll go through and I'll walk away. Well, do I take the plot hook or do we find the first boat that's just sailing to a completely different continent? It's a hard choice. Um, I do think I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna try and see. I'll ask one of the locals. I'll just be like, "Hey, is there stables that has horses for sale or for lease?"
Any of the locals could tell you yes, but um, they would also advise you that with the storms brewing, it'd be best to lease a horse in the morning.
Um, I understand. Unfortunately, the I just want to get started really, really early. And so that's where I think it'd be best if I went through and leased it. I just got it all set up tonight and went ahead and leased it. And then I could go through and leave once things are ready.
Occasionally, one or two might ask you where you are headed, just to be polite.
Mhm. Um, I will tell them that unfortunately I'm on a mission of secrecy, but I will return in 2 days hence.
They would smile at you indulgently, perhaps tease you a little bit, but
Mhm.
still direct you towards the stables, reminding you that storms around here are quite dangerous and you really should wait till morning.
Understand. I really appreciate it. And I will, like I said, I just want to go through and get everything settled up. And then obviously I'll rent the horse and then I'm going to be leaving immediately.
All right. So are we headed into the mountains?
Yeah, I think so. I would like to, if there's an opportunity at the bazaar, there's probably a few items that I want to go ahead and acquire,
Okay.
including basic stuff like some food rations. I'll make sure that my water skins are topped off. We are going to go ahead and pick up a lot more rope. So I'll probably end up getting like 200 feet of rope to work with, as well as a probably like a climber's kit. So we're talking like pittons, hammer, like that kind of stuff for any kind of serious like mountaineering.
Mhm.
Um, what else are we looking at? Um, and then we'll probably I'm gonna try and look for some kind of like a rain poncho type deal. So something that's like large canvas, cloak, something to go through and help keep me dry if rain happens. And then see, we're gonna be going through a swamp. Um, I am gonna try and see if I can find any kind of remedy for like leeches, or if there's any like if I'm really looking for that like any kind of like alchemical kind of situation where they're like, oh yeah, this balm or do this or kind of thing, but just kind of something that's gonna help. Um with any kind of that situation, that would be swamp stuff. Again, leeches is the first one that comes to mind. There's just like ugh. um yeah, I think that's basically gonna be it.
Okay. Um, the only thing you have a little tricky time finding is a balm directly for leeches. However, there is a local apothecariist who makes her own healing um, paste.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite as potent as a healing potion,
Hmm.
but she says if you apply it directly to your wounds, it will provide you 2d4 healing
Okay.
and allow you to cure any sort of direct skin affliction, including that from a leech.
Awesome. Okay, that'd be perfect. I do inquire to the apothecary. I'm just like, are you familiar with any like specific diseases or anything like that that like people coming out of swamps that they always get, whether or not it's like beriberi or, scurvy or anything like that?
Um, she will say she's seen scurvy occasionally from those travelers coming off of the boats. She
Mhm,
mutters something about men never eating enough fruits and vegetables.
mhm, that's true. Accurate.
And
Also, you have some more beef jerky, right? That's one of the things I definitely forgot to pick up.
yes, that will definitely help with your scurvy. Um,
100%.
yes, always. But other than that, she hasn't heard of any diseases being from the swamps itself. As far as she knows, there's no rabid animals up there, nor
Mhm,
biting insects that would cause diseases. Although, of course, there are plenty of other dangers that belong up in those mountains.
understood. Okay. Well, with that, I will take my balm and then my other stuff that I acquired, and I'll take the horse. I'm not going to ride the horse. I'm just going to have it laden down, and I'm going to walk it, and I'm going to start moving into the mountains. We'll see what the night holds for us.
Excellent. Okay. So, as you leave town, you see that the rocky slopes ahead are covered in a dense forest of thick pines, broad boughs leaving a thick carpet of needles that muffle your footsteps. Moving westward, muck and mire begin to dampen the ground. The occasional puddle of water, decorated with moss and moldy leaves, begin to dot the trail. As vines grow thicker, hindering your march, the region converts more and more into a wetland marsh. Suddenly, the trail seems to terminate in a massive swamp shrouded in a thick mist. You hear a panicked wail echoing out of the area, but you see nothing much before you as that misty fog shrouds your vision.
About what time are we getting into? Because it was a twilight earlier, so I mean we're pretty much dead of night at this point, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Hmm. What's our moonlight? Or I guess we're still dealing with overcast and stuff, right? So it's basically pitch black.
Yes, especially with this fog, it will obscure your vision out to 20 feet.
Dark vision. No, I'm joking. Um,
Through fog?
that's like it's like the classic like D&D thing. Oh, your vision is obscured. I have dark vision. Um, with this, I think I want to go ahead. I want to take my horse and I know the path obscured, so I want to go through and I want to back off just a little bit, maybe 100 or 200 feet, just to make sure that we're not, like in um, in like a wet mess. And basically, I'm going to find a spot off the road to go through and set up camp. And I think this is where we're going to go through and we're going to call it a night for me and my horse named Bill.
You named the horse Bill.
100%.
Of course you did. All right.
Every horse I ride, his name is Bill. Even if it's a girl, his name is Bill.
Oh my gosh. There's always one. All right.
There's always one.
Okay. Um, you're more than welcome to rest here for the night. I
Mhm.
cannot promise a safe night, but you're more than welcome to stay here until morning. Let's
Yep.
see if anything
Um,
happens.
I mean, well, going through a slump in the pitch black. I've done that before. It's rough. When I do set up my camp, I'm going to go through and I'm going to find a spot to anchor the horse down. If I can find a dry spot of ground, I'm going to do that, and I'll go through and I'll dig out a trench around me.
Okay.
So that way any water ends up getting collected into there. Um, I don't want to cast. I don't want to take a look at this. The duration of this thing. I'm looking at the mover spell. Fun. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. Yeah, but I'm going to go through. I'm going to set up tent. I'm going to go through and I'm going to take the rope and I'm going to go through and do like a circle around my camp, and I'm going to go through and I'll set out some of my cooking ware.
Okay.
So that way, if the rope is jingle or the rope is moved, essentially, the cooking ware is going to jingle and assist with waking me up. I'm not going to light a fire. Um, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to bed down for the night. I am sleeping in my clothes with my weapons and stuff next to me, with my boots loosened but not fully off. Not that I've experienced with this or anything.
You're not gonna leave me any loopholes? You're so mean.
You do whatever you want. I'm just saying. I've just as every character that I play just ends up having the soldier background, just because I can't play dumb with that stuff anymore. So it's like I just gotta have to lean into it.
It's fine. Make my job harder.
I mean, I fell asleep and there's nobody on watch, so you're good to go for 8 hours. Let's have some fun and see what
You have
happens.
Bill. I didn't leave you
I do
completely
have Bill.
alone.
I mean, the horse has got to sleep too at some point. The horse probably has a very high passive insight, so or passive
Probably, I
wisdom.
don't know.
So
I'm not
passive
gonna look
perception.
up
That's what
horse stats. I don't
I'm looking up.
care.
I can look up one.
Sorry. This is rules light D&D. We just make shit up here.
Sounds good.
As I'm not even rolling the right dice.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Speaking of, I don't care.
Horse.
Okay. Um, as you are resting, Bill becomes agitated and you start to hear him shuffling and pulling at the ropes as he is outside your. You've put up a tent, right? You told me a lot of things, and I was
no,
trying to
so
find a dice.
no, so essentially, Bill and I are inside this circle of rope. He's
Okay.
tied to something, whether or not it's a tree or a log or something like that. And there's a rope around the outside of us where I've gone through and I've used some of my cooking gear and I've put that as basically an improvised alarm.
Perfect.
So again, he could be breathing heavy, stomping around, any kind of thing to alert that he's not happy and he would like to be let go.
He's definitely not happy, and he would be doing all of the above, um,
Mhm.
either in an attempt to wake you up or to simply get away from this thing that he does not like.
Okay, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna immediately cast dark vision on myself.
Okay.
As I wake up and try and go through, that will touch real creature. Get the ability to see in the dark for the duration. The creature has dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. I'm going to go through and then just perceive the area. I'm going to quietly walk up to Bill and try and just like comfort him and try and like kind of calm him down and stuff. I'm trying to look out to see what's spooking him.
Awesome. Okay. Um, as you're looking out, you see a bobbing, floating light starting to approach you out of the region of the swamp.
I don't like that.
Most people don't.
Nope.
It's getting closer.
I know I don't like it. I am going to cast. Wait for it. It'll be fun. I'm gonna go ahead and cast Firebolt. I'm gonna try and find a location of something dry or some kind of thing, and I want to try and get it as far as I can see out with dark vision, understanding that there's a mist. But I want to go through and basically create a light source somewhere else and see how said light reacts.
Okay. Um,
Oh, also, did we need to roll on the chaos table for the dark vision?
no, I'll have you wait till you're inside the bounds of the swamp.
Okay,
I won't be that mean.
sounds good.
I'm gonna be plenty mean later. It's okay.
All
I'll
right.
make up for it.
But yeah, so I go through and I cast off Firebolt to try and see how this light reacts to it.
Okay. Making me look up stats. I don't like that.
For Firebolt or for your creature?
Yes.
Okay. So Firebolt's just a 3d10.
No, I know. I just needed to know how
Oh, okay.
intelligent this thing was. Apparently very.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Um, it does not care at all that you've been lighting things on fire unless you were tending to hit it. Um, so it is ignoring that spell completely and continuing to move towards you and Bill.
Okay. I am then going to call out and say, please identify yourself, stranger. And I'm going to go ahead and be getting Chaos Bolt warmed up.
In your mind, you hear Druidic.
Druidic.
Yes.
Um, can I tell what it is saying?
Do you speak Druidic?
I speak Draconic. But I hear some words that I don't understand in my brain.
Yes.
Then I am going to go ahead and cast Comprehend Languages.
Okay.
We'll see if it is not a concentration spell. And for the duration, I can understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that I hear.
Excellent. Um, you start to hear babbling at first, but then it
Mhm.
becomes clearer as the spell takes effect upon you. And you hear almost a script repeating over and over and over. And the script is saying, Valera, run with me. No, we must escape. It's moving too fast. This area isn't safe. Your father's curse is upon us. Wait, no. And then it cuts off.
Do I still see the light?
Yes, it's coming closer.
I am going to. What's Bill doing?
He is very upset.
I really need Dispel Magic, which I don't have. About how far away is it?
Approximately 30 feet away.
Oh, it's at 30 feet.
Yes.
I think I'm going to call out. I'm going to yell at this point. I'm going to say, halt, please, or else I'll have to defend myself. Do I get any more idea of what this thing is? Is there a shape to it? Is it literally just a ball of light?
It is a small ball of light about the size of your fists.
I'm going to try and cast Mage Hand, and I'm going to try and have the hand push against the ball, see if it interrupts it or interacts with it or anything like that. It only puts on, I believe, 5 pounds of pressure.
Nope. It
It
goes
just
right
goes right through
through.
it. Um, is it going towards me or towards Bill?
towards you. It doesn't seem to acknowledge Bill in any way.
Right before it hits me, I'm gonna try and wait to the very last second. I'm gonna keep an eye on it and try and see if I can get a better idea of what this thing is. But right before it hits me, I'll go through and I'll cast Misty Step, and then I'll go ahead and teleport 30 feet in the direction of which it came to get out of the way to not let it touch me.
Okay. As soon as you do that, the light seems to pause in its steps, turn, and try to follow to where you misty stepped. But this time it's not trying to touch you.
Okay. Is it still saying anything or is it just repeating that same thing
It's the same sort of script.
over and over again?
Occasionally, you'll catch an extra sentence, yells and sounds of battle, all in the same man's voice.
Okay. Now you said it's no longer trying to touch me.
No, now it's hovering next to the tree that you just landed next to.
Okay. I'm going to start moving around. I'm going to try and observe it as I'm walking around and as I'm circling this thing. How does it react?
It's remaining hovering next to the tree.
I'll start gaining distance away from it and start walking backwards.
It tries
Does
to follow you.
Okay. I try and speak to it and I say, I believe there was a name that I heard when I heard the script. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was that name again?
Valira.
Try and call out and go, Balira, can you hear me? I'm Leodraas. I don't mean you any harm.
The wisp will pause for a second, and then in the man's voice, almost sadly, it will whisper, Valira is lost to us. She is gone. And then it fades.
The voice or the wisp itself?
The wisp itself.
Okay. All right. How's Bill acting now?
He seems agitated, but he's calming now that the perceived threat is gone.
Okay. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get him some food, and go through and give him some feed and just try and make sure that he's calm, that he's good. Um, I'm also gonna go through and I'm gonna get a rag or I'm gonna get something and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna blind Bill for the night.
Mhm.
So I'll cover up his eyes and stuff, and then I'm gonna lay back down and go to bed.
Okay. The rest of the night passes fairly uneventfully.
Mhm.
Occasionally, you are woken by screams from the swamp itself, but whatever is out there doesn't come to bother you or Bill, and
Mhm.
certainly no creatures have passed your path to harass you or to try to steal any of your supplies. In the morning, you're welcome to explore in any way you'd wish to.
Okay. Do I get the effects of a long rest?
Yes.
Sweet, because I burned up a ton of spells last time. All right, good. Um, so long rest. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna take out some parchment. I'm gonna write a note. It's basically just gonna say, "I, Leodrass, was an idiot and decided to go into the swamp because I'm a hero and I have plot armor." And I'll go ahead and I'll put that on Bill's saddles, inside of one of the pouches, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start proceeding towards the swamp. As I get back to the edge of the swamp, am I looking at like waist deep? Like, is it just marshy around? Is there a place where I'm gonna be able to take Bill here? Like, what are we looking at?
Okay, let's find out. The swamp's floodwaters are going to force a very hard march through waist deep, murky water.
Mhm.
The cries of lost and panicked wildlife now echo through a dense mist that still obscures your vision up to 20 feet. A
Mhm.
taint of the arcane lies like a bitter aftertaste on the air here, which reeks of the foul rot of stagnant water. Upon entering this bleak marsh, You observe a lone pine off to the side, unnaturally healthy amongst the muck and mire. If you choose to get closer, you would see a crude carving upon the trunk with the letters VAL plus RGT.
EALRGT. Okay. I won't bring Bill into the swamp and stuff, especially anything that um my thing is like crocodiles and stuff like that. I don't want to like I want to make sure he's out of the water or the swamp enough that a crocodile couldn't like sneak up on him. And I'll go through and I'll tie him inside of a half hitch to the tree that he'd be able to go through and like if he's in serious distress, bug out
Mhm.
for. And then at which point I'll start proceeding forward. Check that out. I'll approach the tree further. DAL, and then what was the other ones?
RGT. All capital letters.
Does it look like a it's not like a there's like a heart around it like some guy brought his girlfriend out here for a romantic getaway, right?
The tree has been here quite a while, but
Mhm.
you do see something that could have been encircling these letters at some point.
I'm gonna take a closer look at that. I want to make sure that it's not some kind of like witchcraft type deal, like it's part of some kind of ceremony, or like if it was some part of some kind of ritual.
No, it doesn't seem ritualistic in nature, but you are getting a whiff of magic here.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and keep on pursuing or keep on moving through the swamp. I don't even know where I'm going. I'm looking for corruption. Swamp has been spreading. Yeah, I'm gonna do what I can. I'm gonna use my experience and everything to make sure that I'm trying to keep in the same direction.
Mhm.
Um, I am gonna try and observe to see if I can find any kind of like movement of the water as far as the direction that the water is moving. If it is just stagnant and it's not moving at all, or if it seems like there is like a river that goes on one side or something like that, I'm gonna try and keep an eye out for that. And then obviously keeping my senses aware for any kind of wildlife or things like that.
Okay. Um, as you're looking around you, you do see occasional wildlife, but it's primarily marsh birds and other
Mhm,
creatures that could leave easily and safely. You
mhm,
continue to hear the cries of lost creatures, but you don't see where they might be.
mhm,
Certainly, no crocodiles cross your path.
mhm.
Aside from that, you continue to get that strange taint of magic, but everything seems kind of stagnant and stuck, like it can't leave this area.
Interesting. Hmm. About what time of day am I looking at?
It appears to be morning.
Okay, so all traveling I've just done the morning.
It would seem so, yes.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. Let's keep on moving through.
Okay.
I think as I move through, I'm going to take one of my 50-foot sections of rope, and I'm going to start cutting off different pieces of it. And when I come across trees or good places, I'm going to go through and I'm going to tie a small piece of rope to it to help mark where I've been as I'm traveling through this.
Okay, perfect. um, as you're doing this, you suddenly get this funny niggling sensation on the back of your neck, almost as if something is watching you. And whatever it is seems to be behind you.
I turn around.
Okay. Um, turning around, you seem to see a female figure, but it doesn't seem to be anyone who would have been lost in the swamp. And the brief moment before the pain hits you, you realize that she's not dressed in dirty clothing marked by marsh water or mud, but in fine regal garb. And can I get a wisdom saving throw?
Sure. That's my Tinder date. She finally showed up. Oh, this is going to be awesome. All right, we're going to go and use a lucky point, try and improve that. All right, we're going to go with 17 wisdom saving throw.
Excellent. Okay, so you are now encountering one of the many hallucinatory visions that can sometimes haunt travelers through this cursed marshland.
Hmm.
And sometimes they try to drive travelers out, and sometimes they try to suck them back in. And luckily for you, this one seems quite interested in you. And so you only take 3 psychic damage. And
I'm a sorcerer. I'm almost dead.
oh,
No, I'm just joking. Just
look
throwing
on the
out
bright
first
side.
encounter.
We're not a wizard. Sorry. It's okay. I had healing in here too.
Sweet.
um, but she sticks around a moment longer to show you that she seems to be in pain. And for a brief moment, she casts a final spell before some strange flash occurs. And
Hmm.
then you see a ring drop into the swamp, but the female has vanished.
Did she get that last spell off?
You can't be certain. This is a vision of the past.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm going to move over to where she was. At which point I'm going to. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use Mage Hand. I'm going to start trying to see if I can get that ring.
Hmm.
I get it?
Absolutely. You can dig around looking for that ring.
Mhm.
Um, and you do find it. And you notice that it's a simple iron band.
Mhm.
And as soon as it catches the bit of light that seems to be here, it seems to glow like moonlight, even though it should be dark and kind of rusted. In
Mhm.
fact, the simple stone that it carries, although gray, seems to swirl with a kind of mist inside of it. It's very unusual, and you sense a kind of arcane power coming from it.
I'm going to cast Mending on it. I want to see how it reacts to magic.
Roll a d20.
Sure. Rolling a d20. 4. We're going to use a luck point on that. All right. Rolling again. 3. Oh my gosh.
That's
All
okay.
right. So
Uh,
what happens?
you can't be sure of why, but the ring does not react to your attempts to repair it or restore it from your perspective.
Interesting. Cool. Well, I'm going to put that in my pocket.
Do you touch it?
Nope.
Okay.
I ain't touch magical rings. I do go through and I reach down to the river stone that the sorceress gave me.
Hmm.
I want to hold on to it and I want to look at it while I'm here in the swamp and I want to see if it has any, if it does anything, or what
Okay.
it feels like.
It's warm to the touch
Hmm.
and it's starting to glow. It's almost as if it's a small ray of sunlight,
Hmm.
and you're noticing that it seems warmer when you turn your body in certain directions.
Okay, that's good to know. I do hold up the ring to it using Mage Hand, and I want to see if it reacts at all to the stone.
The ring does not acknowledge the stone as a natural light source and does not
Okay,
react.
sweet. All right, ring goes back in my pocket. I'm going to go ahead and turn to the direction in which I feel warmest, and I'm going to go ahead and start moving in that direction. I'm still doing my rope thing as I find spots where I can go through and I can tie off good signals.
Okay. Um, Heading in that direction, you eventually come across what seems at first to be a collection of tumbled down ruins,
Mhm.
perhaps an old wall or a piece of masonry. But as you get closer, you realize that there are carvings here, that perhaps it was something more than just a simple structure. And
Mhm.
there's even a hint of magic to these stones. One in particular catches your gaze, as it seems to be larger than the rest, and it has a particular aura to it that calls to you in a way that you've never been called to before. But it's almost as if the call of kinship, as a
Mhm.
warrior to their brothers,
Mhm.
as if it wants you to come over and examine it and recognize that this is a safe place for you to be, you in particular, as a warrior in this space.
I am going to hold on to that feeling and I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to holding on to my glowing river rock. I want to see if it's reacting at all to the ruins at all.
If you open your hand to reveal the stone, the
Mhm.
runes will start to glow and reveal themselves.
Okay. I want to wait. If there's a place where I can like sit down and like meditate and not be like obviously submerged in water. Otherwise, I'm just going to find the best place I can. But I want to wait and I want to hold on and I want to see if this feeling of welcoming and stuff changes. I want to basically what I'm curious about is I already found one illusion in this area, and so feeling like a draw to me. I'm suspicious about it that this is something that is set up as a part of a trap, and so I want to see if that changes. I want to see if it becomes more desperate, if it becomes more intense, if it kind of fades away. I want to see what happens.
Okay. Um, there are a couple of places for you to sit and meditate on if you would like to.
Mhm.
Um, and as you sit, these runes do not fade. They glow with that same sunlight.
Mhm.
And as a sorcerer, you would recognize them as being an ancient type of arcane marking, not used in the world any longer.
Mhm.
And there's something so familiar about them that it's almost as if some part of your bones needs to acknowledge them, but you can't be sure of why. But as you
Okay.
sit there
Mhm.
meditating, you begin to start to heal and you gain back all of your missing hit points and gain 10 extra temporary hit points. And you feel this welcoming and acceptance wash over you as you gain the effects of heroism for the next day.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do. So feeling safe. How many rooms am I looking at in this general area? They're just all over the place. There's a whole bunch of them. Does it look like there's a main source of where they're kind of coming from? I'm trying to think of some kind of magical offering that basically I can offer onto this, whatever this used to be. And so my thought of that is actually my favorite spell, and what I feel like fits in the setting is Chaos Bolt. Again, it's not trying to destroy the ruins. It's one of these things where it's like trying to offer the most pure like manifestation of kind of like that chaos kind of magic offering into them. And so I'm trying to figure out in my sorceress mind how I might be able to do that and offer that into this shrine, whatever it might be.
Um, What's your passive perception?
10.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Um, then let's roll for perception.
Okay. Perception. Nice. 12.
Okay, that's better. Um, it's like we can do better than 10.
Barely.
Well, that's all we needed. Um,
Mhm.
so as you're looking at these sets of stones, you're realizing that there are sets of unique runes marked upon them.
Mhm.
Some seem to be reoccurring as if part of a language, but there are also six unique runes as if headstones or name markings. And one in particular is set above the rest, as if that name is the particular one that was meant to be honored here.
Okay. I'm going to cast comprehend languages
Okay.
to try and help me with this process. Um, does any of this also reference, or does any of this feel familiar with the different sets of runes, stuff like that, to the riddle that I received earlier?
No.
Okay. Then at that case, I'm going to go through and I will mutter in Draconic, obviously the most arcane of languages. And I'm going to go ahead and cast a sixth level Chaos Bolt um, towards that sigil and see if it absorbs the power and hopefully takes it as an offering and appreciates it and doesn't just destroy this whole place with me with it. But chaos is the way it goes. Chaos table,
Um,
chaos magic table.
can I get a constitution saving throw?
Sure, I'm decent at these.
You just asked
Not
for the
with.
secrets of the universe. I need to know if your brain can handle it.
I like it. All right, I'm gonna go and use a lucky point to go ahead and re-roll that.
Oh,
That's my last luck point. That's an 18, but I'm gonna go ahead and use Tides of Chaos. I want to get that up higher.
okay.
This is what I like about sorcerers. It's like, "Nah, no, I need something else. I need a little extra boost right now. We're gonna pull it all out for right now. All right, last. There we go. 25.
Okay. Um, so the first thing that happened is that we cast comprehend languages.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and although these runes are not in a language that currently exists in this world and hasn't since the time of severing several thousands of eons ago,
Mm-hmm.
um, the spell still attempts to translate them as best it can.
Mm-hmm.
And it reveals to you something at first you don't quite believe,
Mm-hmm.
which is that each of these stones is a shrine offering to one of the six gods that
Mm-hmm.
once walked the earth. And you don't quite believe that because there are no such things as gods from your perspective
Mm-hmm.
and haven't been, as far as you know,
Mm-hmm.
ever. And the one in particular that is here in the forefront is marked as the unknowable god,
Mm-hmm.
a shape-shifting entity that represents the seasons, the cycles of youth and intention. One that was a trickster deity, but also worshipped by the brave and
Mm-hmm.
a patron to warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And your brain doesn't quite accept that. And yet you sense the power here and know that your spells have never gone quite this awry before.
Mm-hmm.
And so, although your brain is boggled, you kind of have to accept that it's true,
Okay.
especially since a stone apparently just healed you and then blessed you.
Okay.
What do you do with this apparently bizarre piece of information?
I think I still do my chaos bolt offering, and I think my intention behind it is an offering of power unto a being of power to cleanse this land. Essentially, the way that my brain kind of rationalizes this is like, hey, here's my tithe to the church, with the expression that the church is then going to take that tithe and be able to go help like feed the hungry kind of thing. So I think that's what I kind of try and do, is I summon up the most powerful spell that I can and try to offer it unto the being and just kind of see what happens.
Okay. Um,
Understanding that this is the first time, I guess, that I've encountered religion, and that this shouldn't all work this way, but we'll see what happens.
and this is how you take a level in cleric.
Yeah, exactly. Dang it. Or warlock. We'll see what happens.
All right. Um, all at once, and it's almost overpowering to you because you've never before sensed the divine, and you certainly don't know of anyone that
Mhm,
has or should be able to. You hear this cacophony of voices, and it seems to be
mhm,
coming from the stones. And you do understand them because comprehend languages is still active,
mhm.
and they seem to be whispering you in 1,000 tongues that you must head deep into the swamp. Go deeper, go deeper. Find that which was lost. Call down the lightning, and then it will be cleansed.
Okay. I need to go deeper into the swamp. All right. I will take a deep breath. I'll take one last look around. What's my little stone doing, by the way?
The light seems to be fading.
Okay. What's the ring doing?
It's just being a ring.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cast haste onto myself. And then basically whatever direction I feel like is the direction I'm supposed to be going, I'm going to actually, you know what I'm gonna do? We'll see what happens. This is gonna be a really fun area to do it. I'm actually gonna cast polymorph on myself. The spell transforms a creature that you can see within range to a new form, yada yada yada. The target assumes the hit points of the new and reverse back to form. The creature is limited to the actions of the form. I think it's half my levels. All right, challenge rating. Okay, so it is whose challenge rating is equal or less than the target's level. So I need a challenge rating of 12 or less. So I'm going to transform myself into some winged creature that has
Okay.
a challenge rating of 12 or less, whatever is the most I can get out of. It's up to you. I'm happy to research that, but in the meantime, we can probably just say it's a giant eagle-ish type thing.
I mean, that gives you tons of options.
It really does. I wonder if I could change myself into a dragon. That'd be pretty dope.
You probably could. I don't feel like their challenge rating is that high.
I think they're like an adult or like a young dragon.
Yeah.
Let's see what I pop up with real quick. That took me way somewhere else. Yeah, we're just looking for D&D Beyond here. Okay, let me look at young dragon. Also, do I need to roll on the wild uh, magic table?
No, we're just gonna let that one happen.
Sweet. Okay.
I just
So
want a
yeah, young.
dragon.
Yeah, a young bro. Like we can go ahead and let's do like a young. We'll do a young silver dragon. That challenge rating is like 8.
Okay, perfect.
Um, and yeah, I will turn into a young silver dragon, and I'm gonna go ahead and start flying with speed as fast as I can to wherever I believe the center of this is. Or actually, oh man, it should be. What is it? I think it's actually Copper Dragon is actually the one that I want. I'm sorry. I know I'm changing it up.
It does
Copper
not
though is I
matter.
think I think that's the lightning one. I know blue ones do it, so I think the lightning
Oh,
ones.
I
I
see.
think
You're
copper
trying to
ones
get
also.
feats.
I'm trying to get feats. I'm trying to think of what I was instructed to do.
You
Lightning
didn't
breath.
take a
No, it is
lightning
monster.
spell? What kind of sorcerer
I
are
do have.
you?
I know, but now I have a lightning breath. All right, it's a young bronze dragon. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
As a experienced warcaster sorcerer, I would know. Oh yeah, if I need lightning, I need to talk to a bronze dragon, of course.
Fair enough.
All right, and then I'm going to start moving through with speed to try and figure out where this place is.
Okay. Um, well, as you're doing this, time suddenly seems to get very weird, and hours, even days, appear to pass as you fly over the swamp. And occasionally you seem to find yourself passing over that lone pine with Bill again and again and again. And those thoughts passed on to you from the divine begin to muddle in your brain. And you are startled and exhausted when you finally find that center of the swamp where you see nothing but a vast body of murky, disgusting water.
That sounds about right. Well, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lower myself down into the water. I'm going to see how deep it feels.
It comes up to about your dragon knees.
Hmm.
So I'm guessing about chest height on a humanoid.
Okay. Go ahead and walk around. I'm going to listen for a bit using my heightened senses. I'm going to go ahead and just say, well, this. Oh, I can also breathe underwater, which is nice. I'm going to go ahead and be like, all right, well, here we go. I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to use lightning breath, where I exhale lightning in a 60-foot line that is 5 feet wide. And I'm going to point that in the direction that I feel like I'm supposed to be shooting it.
Okay. Um, as soon as you do that, something very strange starts to happen.
Hmm.
And the ring that you have on you, wherever you imagine that being in your polymorphed form, it seems to glow and develop a sort of warmth. You feel that on your body. And if you were to turn your mind towards that, something
Hmm.
interesting might happen.
I will do so.
Okay. Um, as soon as that happens, visions start to enter your mind. And they start by seeing this ghostly figure out into the swamp. And you recognize that she's not actually there. This is happening entirely inside of your mind. But you see her as being a sorceress. And you start to have pieces of the past unfold within this vision. And you recall that eons ago, before the time of severing, it was a custom that mages would build a massive stronghold to honor the gods, and that once they would infuse their magic into every element of these fortresses so that spellcasters could ensure that these types of monuments would stand for thousands of generations. You are starting to see one in your mind's eye being built here in the Dragonspire Mountains, in this spot where a marsh now exists. But unfortunately, the hopes and dreams of such ancient craftsmen were not going to last for very long. And now you're starting to see a much darker tale. you're starting to see the kingdom that once was fall to chaos, to the wake of mass tragedies and ecological disasters. And you know this from your own histories and from your trainings as a warcaster. And you know out of the ashes of war would rise the Republic of West Aìrden. But for now, you're seeing the fall of the kingdom of Rohan Thiar. And you start to see that a young sorceress is trying to hold these last remnants of her kingdom together, but she's doing so at a terrible price. For she's fallen in love with a dark warlord, one who hopes to bring about the rise of West Aìrden, and her father is not pleased. And when he finds out of these young folks' love, he attempts to unleash the terrible magics of the mad mage Zangavar. And when he does that, he dooms both the fortress and this entire region. And watching the warlord perish, or so the sorceress assumes, you see her walk to this very spot. You see her hold what was once a lover's stone, and with a dying breath, cast a curse upon the land, calling down lightning to strike herself and thus seal the fate of this entire region. But sometimes that which causes a curse can also unseal it. And as these visions end, you see her spirit fade away, and you feel that warmth from the ring start to fade as well.
First of all, your artwork looks gorgeous, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. I just looked over and I was like, oh my gosh. Um, so I feel the warmth of the ring go away, and I saw all these visions pass before my eyes. Do I notice any difference in the swamp itself? Does it seem like the mist breaks? Does it seem like the sun comes through for the first time?
Yes, the mist is starting to fade slowly but slowly. And in this area in particular, you're starting to see the sun come through, and you're starting to hear flocks of birds chirping. Not in desperation, but true normal bird song.
I think I'm going to drop polymorph. Standing in the water, I reach into my pocket. Do I feel the ring?
Yes, it's still there. And if you were to pull it out, you would notice that the stone is different. It's no longer swirling with mist, and there's a small crack in it. But the band itself is still intact and has a small arcane glow about it. It's reacting to the sunlight.
Hmm. I think what I'm going to do, I want to find tracking where the sun travels. I want to find a tree that gets a ton of sunlight. And what I want to try and do is I want to approach the tree and I want to take one of my daggers and I want to cut into the bark of the tree.
Mhm.
And I want to put the ring into it. And then I want to use mending and I want the tree to grow back around the ring. So that way it's still here and is just going to get pelted with sunlight all day.
Okay.
And I think once I'm done, as long as I can do that, I think I'm going to set that.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to begin my journey back in the direction that I think to where Bill is.
Excellent. It will take some time, but eventually this swamp will drain. And
Mhm.
If you pass this way again, perhaps in seasons hence, you may hear a strange tale of a tree that, for whatever reason, no outlander can ever cut down, and occasionally it seems to glow in the dark.
Nice. I like it. Do I find Bill?
You do find Bill!
Yes. That's all that really mattered to me. Cool. Well,
He's
at which
fine.
point I'll grab Bill and I'll start moving back to town. I don't know. I do think when I get back to town, I think I'm pretty quiet about it. I go ahead and I return Bill, and I think I basically just go straight down to the docks. I find the first boat out to wherever, and I hop aboard and leave for the next journey.
Excellent. Yes, you're more than welcome to head off to wherever you want to sail off to next. Into the sunset.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the adventure.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun.
Good. Uh, for your curiosity,
Hmm.
even though you chose not to take the ring with you, this is what it does.
Hmm.
Um, it's a ring crafted of dark gray iron, which seems to shine like silver when exposed to natural light. And it was originally crafted by a divine soul sorceress to protect her lover from harm. And when you attune to this ring, you gain the ability to cast mage armor as a ritual without expending a spell slot. Once you use this ability, you cannot do so again without taking a long rest. In addition, while wearing this ring and unarmored, you gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with any weapon you are proficient with.
That is one badass tree now, just casting mage armor on itself and just if you pass by, like it just actually like hits you with one of the branches and just does an inordinate amount of damage.
And that is how you cast an awaken spell on accident.
Yes. Cool.
Yes,
No, I
indeed.
loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
The visuals look gorgeous, by the way. I absolutely loved the artwork.
Oh, thank you. I can only do
Absolutely.
landscapes.
Well, no, I think it's that. I think everything came through gorgeously, and I enjoyed the tale, and I enjoyed the mystery behind it.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, before we go, is there anything exciting you would like to share with us that's might be coming up in the Gooey Cube universe?
Oh my gosh, we are getting ready to drop the. We're about getting ready to send Darkenhaven to print. We had a few things that we were finishing on up, some artworks and stuff that we had coming on in to get in, and then as well as our amazing community went through and found a couple. No matter how hard we searched, there were a few things that our YouTube community was able to point out that we had to go through and get tidied up. So we went through and we're almost done with that process. We're going out to Gen Con here in 3 weeks, which is what is going to consume my life, just getting all the product and everything assembled. And then following that, we go into the final stretches of Gloomport and being able to get that pushed out. So it is a absolutely crazy year for us, and that's it's a joy every minute. I can't wait to see all you guys at the next convention.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Mhm. Absolutely,
Alrighty. Well, thank you again for joining us. Sorry I dragged you out a little bit longer than I intended to, but thank you for bearing with me. I had a lot of fun.
absolutely, same here. I'm definitely like I have to like get into it. I'm like, all right, hold on. Do I have all the intelligence that I need before I leave right now?
It's
And
okay.
I wasn't gonna let the wisp touch me. I was like, oh my gosh, I will burn every single spell slot before I let this thing touch me.
I mean, we might as well have gone into combat. We used enough resources
Could
on
have.
that one.
Absolutely could. I am not a shy sorcerer when it comes to spell casting. I'm like, no, I send them all.
It's okay. Alrighty. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful night, and we will see you all next time. Bye, you
Absolutely. Take care,
guys.
everybody.